Just joining us, this is Good Morning Kenya. Welcome back. County Watch begins now. This is where accountability matters. This morning, we are focusing on Vihiga County. I'm joined in studio by Honorable Victor Ijaika. To my extreme left, he is the Majority Whip and Chairman of the Majority Whips of Kenya. He is also the MCA of Luganga Wamulumu Ward. Karibu sana mheshimiwa.
Asante sana.
And I hope your ward is doing well.
It's doing very well, very well.
We'll be looking at how it is and the state of Vihiga County as we continue. Next to him is Honorable Maurine Amuga. She is a nominated member of County Assembly and the Vice Chairperson, Youth and Sports. Karibu sana mheshimiwa.
Thank you.
ODM party is a place.
Yes, it is.
Huh?
Always.
Nyumbani kabisa.
Kabisa, home and dry.
And for Ijaika is ANC party.
ANC, yes.
All right. Next to me is Honorable Jackline Mwenesi. She is a nominated member of County Assembly and chair of Implementation Committee, and also her party is PPK, that is Progressive Party of Kenya. How progressive are we?
Very much progressive in Vihiga County per se, and country, the whole county at large.
All right.
Yeah.
The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Tag us on at KBC Television. My handle is at Ram Maguko. My colleague's handle is at Jane Wambui. So far, what is the status of Vihiga County? Is it doing well? And can we ascertain that our leaders are going to take the county to the next level? That is the focus. Our SMS line is at the top of your screen, 20154. Send us your texts. We shall sample them up as we continue with this morning conversation on Vihiga County. But before we get into the politics, first things first, matters national importance. Joe Kadena died. I know he will be buried in Hamisi.
Yeah.
That is within
December ward.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Maybe you can have just a brief comment concerning this and Joe Kadena's burial and what your thoughts are concerning him. I'll start with you.
Yeah, Joe Kadena is our hero. And as a county, we are much at loss of words to have lost such a hero. And personally, I'm planning to bring a motion in the assembly so that at least we can name one of the stadiums that you are making, Joe Kadena Stadium, in his last respect. And also, we are really appreciative because the whole country has really come in support of the demise of our hero. Yeah,
but it brought in a lot of debate here concerning how we support our heroes.
That's
true. At some point they are neglected.
Yeah, that's very true, because at one point he lived not a very good life, but in his death, you see now every politician is really trying to run to his home in South B. Yeah. No, naming stadium is, of course, that one was there in the pipeline. So it's just in his last respect.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me come to you, Honorable Amuga.
Yeah, personally, I also want to convey my deepest condolences to the Kadena family. I remember I only knew Joe Kadena when I started hearing about him when I was, I think, in class 2 or 1. Kadena na mpira. Actually, it's a loss to the county and the country as at large. And I believe that in Vihiga County, where we harness so much sporting activities and where very many sports people come from, I believe Vihiga County will come with a bill that is going to support all the legendary sports women and men who come from Vihiga County. Yes.
And especially now that Kadena was, one of your own.
Yes.
We need more input.
Definitely, we'll do that. We'll follow up to that.
There's a budget of around 5 million for the burial. I don't know. Your thoughts concerning Kadena?
We have lost a hero. May he rest in peace. We pray with the family. Kadena is one of our icons. He's one of our heroes as a county. He's been able to promote the name of the county, and especially our young people who are fighting to expose their talents. We know we might not have done so much in his respect, but I believe his death will give us a lesson. And of course, as on behalf of the people of Luganga Wamulumu Ward, on behalf of the County Assembly of Vihiga, where I'm also a leader, I wish the family strength and God's power during this time. Issues about funeral arrangements and the plans that go thereabout are issues that concern the family, and we'll work together with them in these difficult times. Thank you.
And I don't know I hope you're going to also help them in terms of, you know, settling their funeral budget, because it's quite...
Definitely. Yes.
All right, our condolences to the family. We continue to mourn together with them, and we are together, especially even as we talk about how Kadenge made this country to be, you know, well known. But at some point, he's a forgotten hero.
That's true.
Quite
That's
sad
true.
that we are
That's
remembering
true.
him after he died.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Now, moving forward, we have to start with the issues to do with the budget. You had passed a 5.5 million budget for 2019-2020.
Billion.
Yeah?
You said million or billion?
Billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 5.5 billion shilling budget for 2019-2020. Is it too high? Isn't that too high? 5.5 billion. Because there have been claims of misappropriation of public funds in the past. How are you working around to stop these issues of misappropriation of funds? You form part of a committee in budgets and appropriation. So do you, Maurine. You are in the budget and appropriation committee. All right, is this 5.5 billion shilling budget too high, and how do you cater for the misappropriation of public funds that have been there within the county? Starting with you.
Thank you, my brother. Let me break it down first. First of all, Vihiga County Assembly approved a budget of 5.5 billion, out of which almost 1.6 billion is going towards development, and the other resources will be going towards recurrent, that is payment of salaries, of course, ensuring that there is running of government, ensuring that drugs are in hospitals, and all that goes around that revolves around that same issue. Out of which, again, as a county, initially we were raising, when we came into office in 2017, the county government of Vihiga was raising 140 million in own revenue. And as we're talking now, we are projecting an increase of that to 193 million. These are resources that we actually managed to collect as a county. But then out of, again, the 1.6 billion that is supposed to go towards development, almost 750 million is actually coming from donors. These are World Bank and other donors that have been supporting development programs in Vihiga. So actually that leaves us with an amount of almost 800 million that we are getting to direct towards development in our own resources. Of course, we have a challenge in terms of allocation. There's so much that has been devolved, especially the sector of health. It's fully devolved. The sector of agriculture is almost fully devolved, but we do not have resources flowing in from Nairobi.
All right.
And that has been a problem.
We will come into the sectors of health and agriculture, and we will talk about how far they are. But 5.5 billion shillings, look at how it was in 2015. You had around 4.5 billion.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the budget by then. So seemingly every year has an increase. In 2015 now, in 2019, there is an increase in the budget. Looking at how that budget increases vis-a-vis how development is the status, can you really ascertain that it is quantifiable? Is it something that people can have benefit on and be proud that the budget, being that high, deserves that amount of money based on what they are seeing on the ground?
Okay, I would personally, I would say that the budget that we passed for 5.5 billion vis-a-vis to the budget of around 3 or 5 billion in 2015. Yeah, I think Vihiga County, as it stands right now, the development that you're seeing on the ground, that budget, I'm sure it will not even be enough. Come to the health sector, come to the sporting sector, come to the agricultural sector. I'm sure that whatever is happening on the ground right now, the people of Vihiga County are seeing what is actually going on. It is tangible. It is not just paper thing budget. It is something that it trickles down to the ground, and people are seeing what this budget is going to do, what it has been doing, and what it's going to do.
People are seeing.
Yes.
You can answer to that.
Yes, I can.
Can you?
Unfortunately, there is nothing to smile about in Vihiga County. There's a lot of theoretical and paperwork. The government in place will they'll talk big. We have done this, we have done this. But practically, when you go to local Mwananchi, there's nothing to smile about. There's a bloated staff that I'm even wondering how they are going to accommodate. As per now, you ask the government of the day, how many staff do you have? They cannot give you a figure. That is the reality of the matter.
But the staff are being paid.
Somehow they are being paid, others have not been paid. Okay, we have been receiving cases of people not being paid. Others are being laid off unceremoniously in the name of trying to streamline the staff. But in that same strength, you find that when they advertise for 5 positions, 90 people are taken. When they advertise for 100, 300. So basically, to me, there's nothing to smile about. This catapulting of 4.5 billion to 5.5 billion, to me, is just an average of money being pilfered, money being stolen. That's why we keep on, when we just entered the assembly in 2017, we discovered some loopholes of money being swindled. We went ahead and impeached some ministers. But of course, they went to court and came back. As we are talking now, a chief officer has been laid off by the governor himself because of that money squandering, I mean. So basically, to me, there is nothing to smile about. It's a matter of theory, it's a matter of paperwork. They talk, but practically,
there's nothing on the ground.
Nothing.
Just
but you're confident that there is something.
Just to reiterate on something on what Mheshimiwa Jackline has said, she's talking about the bloated staff, who actually, in the previous regime, she knows very well that people are being employed without papers. So when the government, the current government, came into place, they're trying so much to actually streamline the number of employees in the county government. And you know, sometimes it becomes very difficult. You find that around 700 or 300 people have been permanently and pensionable in the county assembly or in the county government. How do you come about to sack that person? So the mistake of bloated staff in the county government actually started from the previous regime. So my governor is trying as much as he can to actually streamline that the bloated system of employment, so that it can accommodate the budget that we have and the money is being paid to the people.
But now, how would you respond to this claim here? We had an instance where 3 county officials were, suspended or removed.
Yep.
And there is a case where one of them put his wife on the payroll. And it went it became public knowledge. It is in the public sphere.
Leave alone putting the wife. Leave alone putting her wife. We have ministers who have employed their sons. It's on record. We have so many staff who have taken their relatives. It's on record.
She looked shocked.
Nepotism, and the cases are well. I mean, they're clear. We're talking about the reality of what is happening on the ground. So basically, this sugarcoating things, it doesn't work for me. I am not happy of this government. That's the plain truth.
Honorable Victor.
I have nothing, I mean.
Thank you very much. I know as a county, of course, as you were talking about the budget, talking about the bloated staff and what have you, a number of challenges are there, yes. But for me, in the system, in this second assembly, and of course the second government, we have tried our best as a county assembly to be able to ensure that there is accountability. Maybe the only thing that we might not be doing right is activating and ensuring that the various other committees are actually well performing, and especially committees like what Mheshimiwa Jackline Mwenesi is heading, which is the implementation committee. This is a committee with powers to be able to look at programs, look at projects being implemented by government, look at how government is undertaking its responsibilities, so that then the committee can be able to advise the House and be able to have the House look at the issues on the aspect of accountability and oversight. And so I would say, yes, even with the challenges, in comparison, because when devolution came into Vihiga in 2013, we've had a journey with a lot of challenges. In the beginning, of course, there was the inheriting of staff from the local authorities, And then at some point again, there was a lot of recruitment. But then by the time the government was realizing where it has weaknesses and strength in terms of then where our services needed, that this is now the period where when we're asking hard questions, that yes, do we actually need this stuff?
Based on what you're saying, and then I come to you. You're saying now it is the previous regime or the previous assembly that had issues. As of now, you've tried to sweep off all these issues.
Let me not put the blame on any individual or any system.
Yes.
But I'm saying, as county governments are establishing, Vihiga is not it cannot be an exception. We have challenges that were initially initiated by the first instance of devolution, which this government, as we came in the first year, of course, it's another story, that the assembly was at loggerheads with the governor's office, that is the executive, in terms of just understanding where is the balancing ground. And so,
and that's the case for most counties,
exactly.
Where
So
the MCAs don't agree with the governor's office.
So serious engagements actually started last year, and as we are talking now, I can proudly, sitting here, be able to say that there's so much that is happening. Though in a small way, but the steps that the county government is taking with the support of the assembly and especially the budget making process. And as we are going to look at this year's budget, you're going to realize, yes, we received a budget from the executive, but the assembly was able to critically analyze each and every item. And the budget we're talking about, 2019-2020, is a budget for Mwananchi, a budget that is to ensure that programs and projects are actually implemented at the lowest level of devolution.
I want to pick up from where Honorable Ijaika has said. Yeah, and I want to agree. The only advantage that Vihiga County has, it has a very vibrant assembly of learned chaps. We don't have zombies there, actually. So that our elected counterparts like Mheshimiwa Ijaika, they're really straining to push the county executive so hard to see that their projects are implemented. And from what Honorable Maurine has said, it's true, part of the employees in the last regime did not have papers. This time round, we have an executive that, in fact, more than a half are masters and PhD holders. But unfortunately, I don't know what happens. The more education you get, probably at some point they lose it. We have PhD holders, we have, think of everything. PhD in airspace, I don't know what, others have gone to China, what. But to do
the more learned you are, the less you deliver.
I respect knowledge. I respect going to school. But you see, they're now making us to overstrain. Our work is legislation, representation, and oversight. But you know, when you come to our assembly, it's one of the most vibrant. Every Thursday is statement and motions. We are ever questioning the executive. So we are going a step ahead even to do their work because we are really on their neck. So as much as Mheshimiwa is saying there's some little percentage, but
He's saying from last year there have been an improvement.
Yes.
A slight improvement, I can agree with it. You know, I don't just criticize for the sake of criticizing. Where there is credit, I give it. I give credit where it's due.
Are you satisfied with the improvement that is there?
Very slim. I can say somehow negligible, if that's the best terminology I can use. But they are really making the assembly to overstrain. And of course, they had that, we had that bad blood initially, but now at least we are trying to push them hard and understanding. To some extent, the executive is failing the governor. Let's face reality. They are actually failing him. He's trying, as we are doing our work, by the way, he is trying. He has, when I look at the governor's manifesto vis-a-vis the deliverables, I can say he had that vision for Vihiga County. But these PhD holders of the guys we put in place, actually they're a big let.
The PhD holders.
Yeah.
And similarly, we have a following people who hold PhDs in this county. All right, so, but there's an issue. You said since last year you've had an improvement.
Yes.
Now, last year, two executives, we have Alfred Indeche for finance, and these are CECs, yeah? And Marita Agufana for sports. They were impeached for transferring 18.8 million into a private mobile account upon the expiry of 2017-2018 financial year. So But now, I'm not going to ask you about what happened with this money, but because we all know how that is. But how are you holding your fellow leaders or your fellow members accountable? Look at this amount of money, 18.8 million shillings, because still, there are claims that last year there was a 200 million bursary kitty, from which officials may have misdirected around 3.6 million money to their phone for airtime and and other privileges.
Thank you, my good brother. One, let me just raise a flag that the issue about the two CCMs, these are the ministers that were impeached, is actually in the court of law. And so allow me not to go much into the details.
No problem. We shall not talk about
but for me, I think that actually shows how the Assembly is initiating and ensuring that there is accountability in government. As I said earlier, there are challenges are there, but the Assembly is always out there to be able to systematically and legally be able to follow up processes if it's a matter of impeachment, if it's a matter of allowing the committee's time to investigate on an issue. We have been able to do that. And the matter around the bursary, I think it's, for me, yes, it has been in social media on issues around the 3.6. But as an Assembly, we've been keen at ensuring that monies for bursaries are actually transferred to the ward accounts. And of course, how then this is managed, we'll have to have the engagement through some of our committees to be able to establish if there is any pilferage or misuse or mismanagement of that. And most of the time, the Assembly, because of the so much of the other engagements, we actually depend on, at times, the other bodies, like the Office of the Auditor General. And once such issues are highlighted, then we are able to pick them up in a systematic manner, in a legal manner. We engage it, and we'll be able to report back to the people of Vihiga on if there is any case of mismanagement. But all said and done, the bursary kitty has been very supportive to our young ones. It has been supportive. So many of our families are not able to sustain their school fees. We've been giving them some small money, some small support. We've also gone further to even establish a governor scholarship program that actually fully supports. In the first year, we've been able to support 100 young people from cutting across all the 25 wards. These are young ones who did their class 8 last year, and we've been able to do for them shopping, be able to pay their full school fees for the whole year, and of course this is going to run up to the 4th year, and of course be able to even have mentorship programs. Every term once they close and they're home, the government is able to organize for a mentorship program. And these are one of the steps and one of the greatest achievements this government has been able to realize within this short period of time.
Right.
Now, on the issue of bursary, allow me to comment, to say this. Bursary is meant to help the less fortunate in the society. We have the governor who has his kitty, we have the member of county assembly, we have the member of parliament, we have the women rep per se, all of them giving bursaries. Now, there is some lapse somewhere whereby we have evidence of families receiving bursaries that are well up. We have evidence of cases where a family will receive bursary from all these cadres that I've mentioned, yet some other families have not received. How I wish the 5 parties could harmonize, because it's very unfair for one family to receive bursary across, yet the less fortunate are not getting. So how I wish that my colleagues could, we should join hands to see that the bursary should benefit the less fortunate in the society. As a member of the Education Committee, you mentioned about that 200 million. Yes, there was that lapse, but we tried to rectify it. Even we passed a bill the other day that is going to see all those loopholes are closed. Our MCAs, I must say, per se, they are trying their best. I cannot comment on the women reps bursary because I'm not involved in anywhere. I can only comment on the governors that I've seen and the member of county assembly. MPs, we have 5 of them, so I can't.
But now we had 3.6 million that was lost.
It was not actually lost per se. It was just, I think sometimes when you don't have a bill or a formula of dispensing some money, you know, people learn on the job. But basically, it was not lost. You know, sometimes when what you read in the media or social media per se, what is on the ground. I'm in the education committee, so I can say authoritatively it was not lost. It was just probably misdirected, but we have rectified that.
You've rectified it, but you know the question is misdirected to where?
I need to come in on that. Actually,
Yeah.
the aspect of the 3.6 million is not monies that were meant to directly go to the bursary kitty. It's the administrative resource, because the law provides that a certain amount, a certain percentage, actually 3% of the total amount goes to manage to the administrative cost. This is supposed to manage the committee at the ward level, their small allowance, their small transport and probably refreshment allowance. And of course we have the board at the county level, their small meals and of course transport allowance. So the question was about how was the administrative fund actually managed. And as I said earlier, we will be able to have a position, a clear position. Of course, the committee is still engaging, but once the auditors, the Office of the Auditor General is able to give us a report, then we shall be able to interrogate the report and be able to establish the further facts, because they are the experts in terms of auditing and ensuring that there is value for money and the resources are directed to the rightful vothead.
But then, yes, you've said, all has been said, but how are you able to ensure that there is accountability? Because money is still lost.
Really, in the
money was not lost.
Money was not
What
lost.
is happening, you know, when you are employing those managers and staff, sometimes, you know, that training is important. So they were not accounting, probably, let me say, not in the proper way. But I can say authoritatively as a member of education committee, no money was lost. No.
All right. And about the two CECs that were, you know, about the court case that is already there, about how much was it? 18 billion?
18 million.
18 million.
18 million, and
18
as I
million.
said, it's a case that is with the courts.
So we can
The courts we actually did our part. We
Yeah.
pitched and we had our reasons, which are there in the public domain. But the CCMs went to court, and the courts are still reviewing the case. I think the dates for full hearing has actually been set, and we expect the court case to come to conclusion, and then the assembly will be vilified or otherwise. And of course the people of Vihiga will be able to make a decision or a judgment depending on what the courts will have been directed.
Let's talk about development. How is Vihiga County so far in terms of development of your respective wards, even starting from your own place?
Okay, thank you very much, first of all, for the opportunity. My ward, as I said, is Lugaga wa Mluma. But because I hold a position in the leadership of the assembly, I'll also be able to have a position to talk about what could be happening in the other wards, as evidenced.
Even as a majority whip.
Yes. So in my ward, for example, just a snapshot. In the first 5 years from 2013 to 2017, we never realized any single ECD class. But as we are talking now, I can confidently say on air that currently we are doing, I think the government is doing the 10th classroom. The 10th classroom in 10 primary schools. Of course, some of them are renovations, others are actually full construction. I can authoritatively say in the first year we've done 2 dispensaries to completion. I think these are dispensaries that had been constructed by CDF. And initially they were stalled projects. We were able to pick them up. We were able to budget them in the 2018-2019 budget. And as we're talking now, they are complete. We actually just are waiting for posting of staff and be able to have the facilities running. And as we're talking now, again, I have a health facility, Mulele dispensary, that had a building that had stalled for over 20 years. And as we're talking now, the construction is ongoing. We have done 2 roads. We have done almost 4 roads in the ward, and a number of other programs that we have already implemented in the first year. And through the World Bank funded programs, we are also doing floodlights because my ward is within the municipality. The process of procurement of a garbage collection truck and garbage facility is actually ongoing. And this is something that is actually reflected in most, if not all, of the other wards. This was actually achieved through a negotiation between the assembly members who were elected and the governor, where we had a level understanding that let us have at least 20 million shillings allocated for every ward, but implemented by the various departments. So the Department of Health will actually implement the programs or projects under that department in that ward, but be able to ensure that then there is equitable distribution of development. And then the governor has his own flagship programs, which he directed through his manifesto, and we affirmed into it through the CIDP, that is the County Integrated Development Plan. So these are programs that again are actually coming up, like the Doctors Plaza, like a number of water programs. In Luanda, when you go there, the market is being upgraded. When you go to Hamisi, we have a stadium that is coming up. When you go to these other areas, although with the challenges, but these programs are actually coming up. And I believe with time, because even in this financial year, we have been able to negotiate to ensure that we have more programs that are able to be implemented. And in the Department of Health, for this coming financial year.
Before you come to the Department of Health,
yes.
We will take some time there. Let's go back to school education.
Yes.
You said how many schools do we have so far that you are working on, and how many are complete?
Okay, in my ward, I have a total of 21 primary schools, and you know, each primary school is supposed to have an ECD center. So far, out of the 10 classrooms, actually 7 are fully complete, and I can even name them. They are at Kegoe Primary, where we have 2 classes that have been renovated. We have Vumale Primary, we have 2 classrooms and an office that has been renovated. We have Chanda Primary School with a complete classroom. We have Imbaga Primary School with a complete classroom. We have Madira Primary School with a complete classroom. We have Bunandi Primary School, which is having an ongoing classroom, and Mbi Primary, which is having an ongoing classroom. The challenge is always that at times this has been an issue, of course, with the contractors. A contractor gets work, but then he confirms to government that he can be able to implement that project to completion, but once he's handed over the project, he's not able to.
And that is a problem, because now this development of schools, they're taking quite some time.
Exactly.
And remember, there's a school that has taken how many years now? 2 years so far. I've forgotten the name of the school.
That should be Mbi.
Yeah.
In my ward, I have like Mbi
Vihiga.
Primary. It has taken almost 2 years now.
Yeah, Mbi Primary.
Yes.
Mbi Primary. It has taken 2 years.
Yes.
And you know, that is one reason why some feel that development is not going in the right direction. But now you see it in the, you know, you deal with the issues like this. In your community, you deal with youth, sports, social welfare, children, and culture.
Yes.
Are you satisfied with how far you are developing your county?
Personally, I'll say that yes. Yes, we are developing. You can go to, I'll just say what Mheshimiwa Victor has said, the ECD classes concerning the education sector. You can, in Vihiga County, all over the 25 wards, there are so many ECD classes which have been completed. And right now you can see that our children who go to ECD schools, they are comfortable. They are learning in, the environment there where they are learning at is very conducive for them. And then going back to the youth culture and sports.
Yes.
There's Hamisi Stadium, there's Kidundu Stadium, and there's Mumboha Stadium.
Have you been there to see the status of the stadium?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. But if you look at Kidundu Stadium, there's an issue concerning the relocation of the community members around the stadium, whereby the county government wants to buy the land to expand the stadium, but there's some little bit of, let me say, politics, a little bit of politics. A little bit of politics, definitely. Definitely. But trust you me, by the time my governor ends his term, his first term, definitely Kidundu Stadium will be something to smile about. Going to Hamisi Stadium, it is, we can see tangible evidence that Hamisi Stadium, something is taking place in Hamisi Stadium. If you go to Momboha Stadium, right now you go to Momboha Stadium, you can play a game over there without players falling down and hurting their knees or their feet. And I believe that in development-wise in the youth sports culture, definitely there's some development.
All right.
Yes.
So some development.
There is
development.
development.
And this is the governor for the first term, meaning you are expecting the second term.
Definitely, yes.
No.
Let me come to you though.
Allow me to say this. First of all, I want to thank His Excellency the President for putting a directive that before you start a new project, you must end the stalled project. Were it not for that, so many of the stalled projects could not have been completed because everyone coming in place wants to start his projects. So that one actually made the government in place to at least complete the stalled projects. Of course, they were initiated by the first government. This one has gone ahead to complete or ongoing projects. Now, allow me to say this. In the education department, where my colleagues have ably put across that something is happening, I'm a member of the education committee. It is being chaired by a woman nominated MC who is also a teacher. Out of the 13 committee members, over 6 we are teachers. So that tells you why the department is doing well.
So you know,
we have the
because you know
we
what
have
you're
been
doing.
there. You know, once a teacher, always a teacher. So we have been there, we know. That's why there's a lot of good things happening in the education sector. Even the remuneration, we have actually increased, and so many good things. But my problem comes to some of these projects. My colleagues have said in the health sector, they have built hospitals. But what is the rationale of having a hospital and there's no medicine?
And that was why I was coming to, because now the health sector has a problem. So far, I'm aware okay, I don't know if you'll admit this or not, whether it's true or not, you can ascertain. Do you have stalled hospitals in the county, hospitals that are not doing well? And what plans do you have for them? Let's talk about Emuhaya Hospital in Luanda, Emusira Hospital in Emuhaya, Linagiga Hospital in Vihiga, Sabatia Hospital in Sabatia, Hamisi Hospital. How far are you?
Okay, these are sub-county hospitals, and in our wisdom as an assembly, when we were actually approving the budget for this year, we have allocated some resource to be able to go towards maintenance and, of course, upgrading of these facilities. As I told you earlier, we have a challenge. I know we're not doing so well. We're not doing so well in the Department of Health. We have a fully devolved Department of Health with a budget of almost 1.6 billion, and out of which almost 1.2 is actually going to operations and salaries.
You know, in your budget for 2019-2020, a big chunk goes to health.
Yeah.
It actually cuts across all the other years. I'm actually speaking to the nation that we have a problem in counties that the Department of Health is actually fully devolved, but we are getting so little minimum allocation towards that. The monies we are getting from Nairobi, the monies we are getting from the national government is minimal in terms of supporting the health sector, which is actually fully devolved. And this has been a debate, I know, even at the national level, that the national government has only the referral hospitals, that is Kenyatta, Eldoret referral, Madari, and there are not more than 10 of them. They are actually not, let me put it at not more than 15, but they are having a budget of over 40 billion.
So your problem for having stalled hospitals and them not working is that you don't have proper funding.
Yes, because even in this budget, we actually struggled to be able to get some money to be able to approve to get facilities and equipments in the dispensaries that are now complete, and also be able to even support the other facilities. And even the department has not enough money to be able to support drugs, because an allocation of almost 100 million, but then even when you have the drugs, you can't supply them in a sustainable manner for the whole year. So we have a challenge, we have a big challenge. We have tried our level best, and even in the coming supplementary budget, we are going to ensure that we also get and squeeze and be able to deny some departments some resources in terms of recurrent money to be able to save some monies for the drugs. So yes, we know we have that challenge, and especially at the referral hospital, which sits in my ward. When you go there, you know, there are no drugs, and especially at this moment when we've just closed the financial year. And that is a challenge that we might need to have a very serious discussion to be able to ensure that then we're able to sustain our health sector. But in a nutshell, I think as the country is talking about a referendum and as the country is talking about resources, it is important, and this needs to go to our senators and our National Assembly members, that the health department is actually suffering because of there's so much resources that are left in Nairobi, and instead of having these resources devolved so that we can fully be able to support.
All right. So you talk. I'll come to you as you pick it up. You talk about lack of proper funding.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Now, how do you respond to this? Because you have around 80 million shillings. To 103 there, yes. You can get the numbers, you know it, that has been used to build a palatial home for your governor, Wilbur Otichilo. You kicked off the construction of the deputy governor's home for 55 million, pushing the home's construction budget to around 158 million. All right, now 158 million is more than 153 million that Vihiga County expects to raise from its own sources like business permits, parking fee, land rates.
Thank you very much. These are issues that at times I read on social media and I get perplexed because I'm a member of the budget committee and I can talk straight to my people and tell them that as a committee, this is not a budget that we approved unless if it happened beyond us.
You're not building a governor's home?
We are building a governor's home. We are building a deputy governor's home. I know the construction has started. Even the office, the home for the speaker. These are guidelines that we are given by the commissions that are independent. That is the Salaries and Remuneration Commission that directs and advises on how then these officers, these state officers, are supposed to be treated. One from next year, actually, so it was supposed to start this year. They're not going to get house allowances, and so the directive is to save the government money in long term, because paying a governor a house allowance for a period of serving will consume a lot of resources as opposed to building a house. And there's a directive that
what about balancing? You see, here we talk about checks and balances.
Yes.
How are you going to look into it? Because still the health sector is suffering.
Yes.
And you're talking about building a house.
Yes. And unfortunately, the same commission, that is the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, demanded and has directed that by June 30th, 2019, initially, that governors, deputy governors, and speakers' houses must be complete. I think it was after a negotiation that then they changed and actually reviewed the period to a close of June 2020. Governors, speakers, deputy governors' house must be complete. If they won't be complete, then these officers are not going to get that allowance. But now, again, they've reviewed the amounts, and I think what we are going to do as an assembly, we are going to request the government to furnish the assembly with the details of the amounts that we initially approved, because we are going to review, because the ceiling for governor's house is 45 million, the ceiling for deputy governor's house is 40 million, the ceiling for speaker's house is 35 million. That is what we are going to review upon the other balances as you're putting.
All right, now let me come to you, Jackie. Before I come to you, there is someone here, Ahmed from Vihiga County, who is saying, you said you have stadia, right?
They're still under construction. Yes.
They're still under construction.
Yes.
Amekas is asking, are they stadiums or playgrounds?
It depends with what he thinks a playground is, because to the best of my knowledge, the budget that we approved in the county assembly was to build stadiums.
She says it's too small to be called as a stadium.
Definitely will not expect Vihiga County to build a stadium as big as Nyayo Stadium. You will not.
Look at Kakamega County. They have Bukungu Stadium.
Bukungu Stadium was there before.
Honestly speaking,
before when?
The Bukungu Stadium was actually it's a flagship. Let me just finish this. Bukungu Stadium is a flagship project for His Excellency the Governor Oparanya.
All right.
But when you come to Vihiga County, the previous regime, we did not have any stadiums. Not one. Kidundu Stadium was a grazing field for animals. Mumboha Stadium was a place where kids would go and play, what will I say? Let me see, use the kati.
The kati, Chamama,
yes,
Chababa.
Chamama Chababa. Hamisi Stadium was a den of thieves. But right now you come to Vihiga County, you look at Hamisi Stadium, under construction, you look at Kidundu Stadium, which the previous regime actually misappropriated so much funds going to that stadium. So much. You look at Mumboha Stadium, it is actually, it's different, it looks different. It's a place where we can actually hold our matches.
It's better now.
It is better than what it used to be. Yes.
Okay, let me come to you, Honorable Jackie.
Okay, thank you. Allow me to say this. Huh?
I know you've been waiting for the long time.
With bated breath per se. There's nothing of a stadium as per now.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Come
Those
on,
are
Jackie.
Playgrounds.
Saying come on.
Unless I don't understand the meaning of the word stadium. Stadia in plural. Now, like we have pumped cumulatively. If the Hamisi Stadium has to we are going to pump like 70 million in that stadium. Now, the project is ongoing. I asked a simple question. This is the question the common Mwananchi is asking. What is the rationale of putting down a wall and replacing it with a chain link in the name of putting that stadium? Simple question.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. You're pulling down a wall and putting. Those are some of the questions that we are asking as community. But of course, I wanted to comment on health. It from what my leader has said. Health department is wanting. Personally, the problems are across. Right now, like Kipia cannot even, God as you are moving on. So devolving health was the worst mistake. Thank God as teachers, teaching was not devolved. But this drama could be worse. Sorry. Now, in the health sector, Vihiga County, they are trying a little bit. I'm saying that because statistically, if you look at the number of patients that you are receiving vis-a-vis the previous times, it means at least something is going on. Ijaika brought a motion of trying to remunerate the interns just to motivate them to work. But you see, sometimes knowing that Kakamega receives the 40 million money, we have to finish this flagship project that conditions receive. So sometimes it's not fair when we are told. Actually, in health sector, hands on, he's trying. So it's a little bit. I know our people are complaining because staff is not enough, but you see now we are paying the staff, you know. Sometimes there are some services they might not get there, but at least we are heading somewhere in the health sector.
Just to talk, okay, I'm sorry, just to talk about
1 minute, yes, time,
the health sector. The governor has this program called Boresha Mama Afya na Mtoto or teacher care, whereby a pregnant woman, when she discovers she's pregnant, from 16 weeks of pregnancy, she enrolls in a program whereby she's paid stipend every time she goes for a clinic visit. And those mothers are actually, the CHVs actually follow up on the mothers to make sure they get their drugs, to make sure they get their injections, up to until when the child is going to be around 5 years. And that is a stepping stone. That is something that is good to the mothers of Vihiga County.
All right.
Yes.
At Angelo Michael says the chief officer for sports has been suspended for the Hamisi Stadium. All right. Confirm?
There we go. I said it.
There we go.
I said it.
I think as I had said earlier, things are happening in Vihiga.
Yeah.
But they can't go without challenges.
Yes.
And as well put, yes, we do not have something, you know, we're using the word stadium because that is what is actually captured as a project in the budget. But in essence, then we know there are those efforts and steps. As an assembly, we have approved a budget.
Right.
As we're talking now, Hamisi Stadium, for example, Lumumba Stadium are ongoing projects. So I cannot come on national TV and start claiming that they are complete and they are good or not. I'll have to wait as a legislator. I'll have to wait until the report comes to the assembly or through the committee that Honorable Maurine is a vice chair to, and tells, then they're able to be told that the stadium is complete and is now commissioned for use. Until that time, we cannot be able to have a position saying, talking about a wall coming down, a chain link coming down, and what have you. We look at the cost. We look at the viability, value for money. Those are issues that as an assembly at the right time we'll have to go through. And I would like to encourage my good sister, Honorable Mwenesi, that in normal practice, in Commonwealth practice, in parliamentary practice, we have a minority in the assembly and the majority. So in essence, then we have an opposition and government. So we talk about, we plan for government as the majority party, and rather majority side, and we expect the minority side to do their part by ensuring that we are
in good faith. Because of time, there is at Jason Kadena says that that's my county, but so far I was there on 7th of this month. There is nothing to boast about. The situation is worse than before.
Completely nothing.
Completely nothing.
I agree with you.
Final question, because of the interest of time. What is it that Vihiga County has that other people from other counties can come and benchmark?
Wow.
Okay, so far I would not be categorical on that because as I said, we had challenges.
Boast about?
We had challenges at the start. But as we are talking now, we might not have anything tangible to say somebody can come to learn from it. But steps towards developing that area, and especially in the area of health, and especially in the area of planning, in terms of having a CIDP that is responsive to the people, having plans, and of course the recently established, of course not touching directly on Mwananchi, but I know anybody that would want to have a map for purposes of planning in lands and what have you, which will also present a good opportunity for us to generate revenue is through the geospatial geospatial report.
I'll just say what Mheshimiwa Ijaika has said. They're baby steps, step by step. Come to the health sector. I come from a ward called West Bunyore. Right now, people from West Bunyore do not walk all the way to Mbale to get their health services because there's a health center called the Pali Health Center, which is well furnished. We have drugs over there. And I'll also talk about the GIS lab. Definitely, it's something that other counties would want to come and see how it takes place here.
Honorable Jackline, what can you boast for? What can people come and benchmark in Vihiga County?
I'm a born-again Christian, and it's not good for me to, you know, my congregation is seeing, my pastor is watching me, everybody is watching me, and they know Madam is a Christian. Basically, from what my colleagues have said, I'm still waiting because they have said there are teething problems. They are still, it's a baby, they are still nurturing. I'm waiting for that time that they'll confidently do something that I can point on. But as per now, nothing to smile about in Vihiga County. Completely nothing.
There is nothing to smile about. That is what she says. County Watch ends now. This has been focusing on Vihiga County. Thank you very much for keeping KBC Channel 1. Keep the tweets coming in. Keep the SMS line coming in. May God bless you. May God bless the work of your hands. See you again tomorrow. My name is Ram Aguko. Keep it KBC.